you to the organizers, Mitch, Joe, for inviting me out again this year. So my title, I came together and chatting a little bit with Mitch, is I thought, drugs and the boiled frog. I thought for a flashback from 35 years ago in university, it comes back. But before we get going, I want to do a little market research here and just get a tone of the room in terms of what your perceptions are in terms of market access. So what do you think the chances of getting a listing, a reimbursement, a public reimbursement without providing a discount to the government today? Do you think it's 100%? Absolutely, my product, the government has to pay for this. Not likely, but they'll likely cover it, 50-50. Generally, the bureaucrats need to show that they can negotiate savings, so they're going to hold the patient's ransom. Or there's no chance. No chance, no discount, no listing. A little cynical now. Geez, and I was thinking A maybe, but okay. So good. So how did we get there? So we've heard a lot this morning already, some great presentations that things are getting difficult. It's a tough world out there. 25 years ago, our healthcare system was unsustainable. How many times do we keep hearing that recently? The healthcare system's unsustainable. It's unsustainable. And we saw changes. We saw changes over time. The system today is not what it was 25 years ago. We have people living longer. We saw the benefits. We saw the value that Chris talked about earlier this morning. But yet, we still see this world around us. And so this is where my boiled frog metaphor comes into place. The hypothesis and a little science experiment from long ago was that, you could take a frog and you can put it won't jump into boiling water. It's too smart for that. But you could put it in water and you can raise the temperature, you can heat it, and ultimately it won't survive. And, the study's been done. Thank you, Internet. So you put the frog in the water, it's room temperature, it's pretty comfortable, it's enjoying itself. Hey, it's wet, it's nice. You turn up the heat. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry to the arts grads in the room here. So, yeah, it starts to warm up a bit more. The temperature's sitting there. The frog is just sitting in. It's kind of enjoying itself. Life is good. It's a little bit warmer. I'm just putting it up there. The heat cranks up a little bit more. Temperature starts to increase. Yeah, we know where this is going. We see it because we're on the outside. Like, jump out. Jump out already, would you? And yet, 84, 85, it keeps going and going. And wow. Easy there. Come on, this is rated PG on this one. But why didn't the frog jump out? You know what? There's a lot of simmering dynamics out there for drugs in the world today. We heard about evidence-based medicine. I like to think of it as an opinion on some evidence that I came up with my opinion on my skewed views. But we're running into treatment algorithms. We heard a number of panelists talk about in terms of those step edits, those therapeutic substitutions, the reformulary groups. It's always interesting to look at the expertise behind these reformulary groups, and they're actually, administrators. And then the focus on pricing. Eileen talked about it, a bunch of others talked about it as well, or I like to think about it as the focus on the discount. So here's the question. Let's apply the metaphor to our world. Who's the boiled frog? Physicians, patients, our industry, or the payers? Interesting. It's an interesting from our perspective. It certainly feels that way. It feels like it's us. It's all about us. But let me give you another question. If payers are deciding what drug you get, how's a prescriber's role going to change? There's going to be no change. The doc is still supreme. Doc's beginning to have less importance in most cases. The prescribers are going to get to a world where they're just offering counsel, or the docs are going to become irrelevant in our system. Dr. Google on an app can do it. And so as we look at it, that's probably don't disagree with you in terms of where we're at today, but where are we going? And if you think about the power of the payers and the direction on that one, and we've heard from docs too, it's like, well, I'd like to write this, but I can't. The payer won't let me do it. I just have to, it's the environment, it's the choice. I start to wonder if the docs are not the boiled frog. The world is heating up around them. Why are they just sitting there taking this and losing sort of their involvement? There's a lot of other stuff going on in the environment that's out there. There's a headline from the Toronto Star from last week out there. It all comes back down to funding. We don't have great funding. This issue's going to be inadequate. We're going to have to make more changes. But I think the changes, and we heard about again in a couple other rapid-fire talks this morning too, is the world is beyond just the health system, and so much else is going on. We're talking about the speed of adoption, generational change, power in different places, concentration, new medical devices, and speed. I'll just dive into a couple of these in my last few minutes here. Is look at the speed of adoption of new things that's changing in our world that's out there. You know, this data was 75 years to get 100 million people on a telephone. Pokemon Go took 3 weeks. I think they're down to 37 million now is the latest data, but speed, things are going faster. Facebook has deeper customer reach than any organization or government in history. I think these stats are interesting is that basically 20 to 25% of time, all time on the internet is spent on Facebook. What does that mean for our business? What does that mean in terms of getting out of the hot water and changing? And I sort of wonder the question is, who's going to play a larger role in our future as we take advantage of what I see as an opportunity? And I think the opportunity is going to be is it going to be the policymakers that are going to turn off the burner? Is it going to be the patients that move the pot? The physicians that jump out of the water, in my mind? Or is it us, the marketers, the industry out there, is we're really just going to change the metaphor? What do you guys think? Great views. And I think it may be that, and it may be all of the above. But I think as I'll end with my last slide here is that the future really is what Malcolm X said, belongs to those who prepare for it today. We see a lot of stuff. We heard some great information on the panels this morning. I think a lot of stuff to take home. But as we think about it and we reframe our reference, if we reframe to think about, oh, isn't it tough for us? No, it's always going to be. I think it's tougher for the system. I think it's tougher for the patients. But how do we get in front of that? How do we prepare for that? And how do we, frankly, take advantage of that? So I'll leave it there, and a minute 23 for the next speakers. Thanks, Mitch.